Hello, everybody. Welcome once again to Gaffing the Truth. My name is Jeff with the G, and as always, I'm with my great and wonderful friend right there, Scabs the Clown. How you doing, Scabs?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. How are you?
Doing well, doing well. And we actually have a special guest today. So we're gonna go. We can bring him into our bullshit sessions before we get started with the stuff. Is we actually have the guy who composes the theme song for Gaffing the Truth. And actually our Gaffing the Truth commercial, and that is the wonderfully, immensely talented Mexigun. How are you doing, Mexi?
Doing excellent. Thank you guys for having me on tonight. I appreciate it.
Now, of course, I know we talked in the past about bringing you on to talk bullshit with us because we're happy to have you on, and we knew that you were just moving and stuff like that. So coordinating sometimes it's wonky, but we're happy to have you.
Yeah, yeah. You can see the fresh paint on the wall behind me. Look at that. That's fresh paint. Brand spanked the baby new.
I'm not.
Is it still wet? Like, can you go touch it?
Yeah, no.
You can touch that wet paint.
Yeah, touch the wet paint. Yeah. No. It's dry.
I've seen so many Mentos commercials that start off that way.
So today, for Gaffing the Truth, what we're going to be talking about is we're going to talk about like the thing called the coincidences, and not just the regular coincidences, like got off the bus at the right time, blah blah blah, like the weird ones that you're going. Is it actually a coincidence? Maybe it's weird fate or somebody stepping in or something or other to make it more than just a coincidence, or just really just like a weird coincidence. We had Hot Todd Lincoln came on for our spirit show, ghost show last week, and his story could have also accumulated being like a weird coincidence. Or with the fact is that he had the watch that was a gift, that was a treasured item that he didn't have on with him, that stopped time right when he was in a bad car accident. So weird coincidence. So that's the kind of stuff we're going to be talking about today. And I think Mexi had actually was it personal stories? Is that right?
Yeah, I have a few personal stories, and I guess I'll start off by giving some pop culture references here.
Sure.
A lot of my theories and thought about coincidences kind of started with Quantum Leap. If everybody remembers that show from way back when, and
we actually, my parents actually, or my mom rather, recorded. We have the last episode on VHS somewhere.
Wow, VHS.
The Leap Home.
Yeah. But I don't know. So you guys are familiar with the show. I remember they had a saying that they used to say, God or time or fate. Do y'all remember that when they used to say that in that show? It happened in quite a few episodes, once or twice, where they would talk. They didn't specifically say it was one thing, but it was God / time / fate. And so, that saying has always kind of struck with me. And even to this day, I'll still use it. I'll say, whether it was God or whether it was time or fate or whatever, just some things are just too coincidental to be, just coincidence. At least that's my theory on it. Same thing with, Back to the Future. I remember one time in 7th grade shop class, I had a teacher that would say, it's about choice, right place, right time. Like when Marty McFly made that choice to race the bass player from Red Hot Chili Peppers, right? And he got in that bad car accident. Needles, yeah. And then the second time around, he goes and he makes the choice not to, right? So there's definitely some choice. And the last pop culture reference that kind of where my philosophy comes from is definitely the Matrix movies. Because a lot of that is about choice, right? And so for me, I'm one of those people that I always want to feel something that tells me I'm either at the right place or I'm doing the right thing or I'm on the right path, right? I'm just that type of person that I always want to do that. And so there's times in my life where coincidences happen and everything just meshes up and I'm like, okay, again, going back to Quantum Leap, God, fate, or time is telling me this is where I'm supposed to be right now because this is a weird coincidence. And then I have some examples, but I just wanted to give that introduction about my philosophy about coincidences.
Yeah.
Yeah. My philosophy is shit happens.
Yeah.
Whether it's for a
Yep.
reason or not, I don't know.
Yeah. I think my philosophy is that it happens and it's for a reason, but I'm not going to say specifically why. I'm not going to go down that far to say that as to whether it was God, fate, or time, like they, in Quantum Leap.
Yeah.
So.
No, I get that totally.
I
Go ahead.
would love to feel that, but I think it's all just weird. It's just weird coincidences. It's just chaos that we just look for
Yeah.
meaning. And we kind of talked about that. One of the other shows, we kind of talked about that. Like, I'm a big believer in the fact is that it's just. I mean, we make what we make now, but doesn't mean there isn't always a pattern or a reason or why. Sometimes the bus hits you, sometimes it doesn't.
Right. Yeah. And so I guess maybe by the end of the hour, through some of my stories, I'm definitely not looking to change your guys' mind on anything, but I can definitely give you some meaningful examples of coincidences that have happened in my life. Some of them saved my life, and I'll get it to, and some of them just, hey, I'm at the right place at the right time. Like, this is where I'm supposed to be. The first one I'll start off with was the time I almost died by a moving van. So this was way back in 2001, 2002. I was living in an apartment with my girlfriend at the time in Houston. I was going to U of H, and I was feeling like crap that day. School was sucking. Everything was sucking. It just wasn't a good day. And I was going to go take a nap. And I would tell my girlfriend, I'm like, hey, I'm gonna go take a nap. I'm gonna lay down. And she was like, no, you shouldn't do that. Like, why don't you go play on your computer? Because I was doing a lot of online gaming, first person shooters, way back in the day. And I was like, I thought about it, and I was like, yeah, okay, I'll do that, right? So I go and sit at my computer. I put my headphones on, and I start gaming. And not 5 minutes later, a moving van crashed into my apartment at the very spot where my bed was. It moved my bed and crushed it across the room. So had my girlfriend not suggested that I go and play, America's Army was a game, but go and play on my computer, I may not be sitting here talking to you guys right now. So that was one of the very first coincidences where I was like, wow, it's choices just like that. Like you said, sometimes you get hit by the bus, sometimes you don't. But that was one of the first major coincidences. Was like, wow, it was just like that. If she wouldn't have said anything, I might be dead, I might not even be here. So that's just one of my first stories, that I would share on that. So
I like that.
That's crazy. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, that's still a crazy. That's a crazy coincidence.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So another one. Let me see what I have written down.
Well,
here.
Hang on. Let's stretch yours out a little bit. We can do a couple in between, and then we'll get back to you. So that way you're just not like sitting here the whole time.
Yeah.
But don't blow your load in the beginning. You got to ease it in.
There you go.
That's right. Yeah.
One of my favorites. Mark Twain said that he was going to die. Mark Twain was born alongside Halley's Comet, and he said he was going to die when Halley's Comet came back.
Oh, yeah, right.
Mark Twain was born on November 30th, 1835, 2 weeks after the perihelion of Halley's Comet. He said, I came in with Halley's Comet. Mark Twain commented in 1909. It is coming again next year. The Almighty has said, no doubt. Now there are those two unaccountable freaks. They came in together and they must go out together. He died on April 22nd, 1910, one day after the comet had once again reached its perihelion.
Wow. There you go, man. We talked about time earlier, right? Time.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff,
my coincidental thing is like what's weird is I'm a big fan of like writers and stuff like that, especially people like I don't know like Edgar Allan Poe. He wrote a book called, let me pull up the name of it right now because I can't remember top of my head. It's like because it's extensive. It's called The Narrative of Arthur Gordon Pym of Nantucket is the name of the book. And in it, he tells a tale of a shipwreck that happens with a bunch of sailors, and they end up eating the cabin boy. What's weird is he always stated that it was a true story. Like, this actually happened. He just wrote down a story that was told to him. The problem is that hadn't happened yet. It didn't happen until 40 years later where ship crashed. Boy, they end up eating the cabin boy, and the cabin boy's name is the same that was in the book.
Wow. That's a weird one.
That is, but so
I do have to correct you. It wasn't the cabin boy. It was a stowaway.
The things I had was a cabin boy. So
in the book, it was a stowaway.
Oh, the book was stowaway, but it's cabin boy. It was actually cabin boy.
I've read that story.
I have too. In my mind, I thought it was always cabin boy both ways.
No, it was I think you're right about the other thing because I remember hearing about that.
Richard Parker. Yeah, the name was Richard Parker. And it was Richard Parker both in the book and the name of the kid that got ate by the surviving sailors. It was one of those. Once again, God, time, fate, because time, right there. Because basically, Poe always said it was a true story. He didn't say when.
It's like with any luck, it will be.
Yeah, he didn't say when the story was true.
Yeah.
And then he would die of rabies.
Yeah.
In a ditch.
He was an interesting character. A lot of his stories are fucking stupid, but
I actually enjoy a lot of his stuff. But yeah,
I like a lot of his stuff, but like there's that one story that's just drugged the fuck on where it's like some guy comes through a town and beats somebody to death, and somebody's like, I saw him and he was a Londoner, and he was very tall and broad, and he screamed a lot, and then talked to another person. Oh, he was an African, and he beat somebody up and he screamed a lot, and then actually was a Frenchman and he was really big and he screamed a lot and beat somebody up, and turns out it was just an escaped gorilla.
Oh yeah, the Murders of the Rue Morgue. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really good story.
I didn't like it. It was extremely repetitive for me.
That's fair. And
Mexi, I actually got one for you.
Mm-hmm.
I know you're into the wrestling and everything.
Oh yeah.
I'm into wrestling.
So kind of a sad story, but at the same time, it's a very interesting story. What happened to Chris Benoit and his family was nothing short of a heartbreaking. In June 2007, news outlets were reporting on a bizarre scene that had played out in the wrestler's home that ended with his suicide. Both his wife and son also found in the house, also dead. But 14 hours before their bodies were discovered by police, Benoit's Wikipedia page was updated to say that he'd been having difficulties because of personal issues stemming from the death of his wife, Nancy. The edit was reversed within the hour because there was no sourcing information, and the trolls, who were determined to continue with the joke that a normal person would realize isn't funny under any circumstances, reported the claim with sourcing attributed to several pro wrestling websites. So basically, some kid, before any of this story broke out, just got on Benoit's Wikipedia page and said his wife was dead.
Wow.
Yeah, because you can change Wikipedia. Anybody can go in and change Wikipedia. So this kid just did that for the hell of it. And I'm not going to read the rest of it. It's kind of long. But basically, this kid, they took him to court. And they're like, why'd you do it? And he's like, I thought it was funny. And they're like, that's really messed up. And he's just like, I'm a teenager.
Yeah, I hadn't heard that story before. I've heard a few. Did y'all watch that show on Vice called Beyond the Mat? Have y'all ever heard of that?
The Dark Side?
I've heard of it. I haven't watched it.
I'm sorry, Beyond the Mat's the movie. Yeah, Dark Side of the Ring on Vice. Sorry.
Yeah. I've seen some of this stuff. I don't have Vice, but I still watch a lot of this stuff. Where it's like I go, what story are they going to talk about? Oh yeah, that story. We'll talk about. Oh cool, Bruiser Brody. Yeah, I love that story. That's a great story.
Yeah. They did the season 2 opener was 2 episodes of Benoit. Yeah, I had never heard that before. That was
last podcast on the left did a really in-depth, I think it was 2 or 3 episodes long about Benoit and his life and everything. Talked about his original wrestling when he came out in Canada, and one of the reasons they think he kind of went crazy is because he was pretty much constantly concussed because of his flying headbutt.
Because concussions will harden the brain and makes it difficult for things to think, and so because of between the flying headbutt and unprotected chair shots.
Chair shots to the back of the head. He also it was reported that taxi drivers who came to pick him up to take him to the gym, he had 17 different routes to the gym that was only 3 miles away from his house.
Wow. Did they say
he was crazy? He thought the government was following him. All kinds of crazy shit.
Yeah. So here's a coincidence, right? Here we go, right? What are the odds? Well, I guess the odds are pretty good because I'm a wrestling fan. But one of my stories is about a wrestling show, believe it or not. See, there's a
Yeah.
coincidence right there.
Hey, segue.
There you
Segue,
go.
yeah.
Let's call
No,
it
it's a
segue, not
great
a
segue.
coincidence.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. But this is a little bit less kind of crazy than the whole almost dying by a moving van story. But it's one of those things, like I said, right? I wanted to feel like I was my life's on the right path, right? Kind of one of those type of stories. But my wife and I went to Washington D.C. to go see the first ever AEW wrestling show on TNT. I think it was last October, and we were there at the Capital One Arena. But it was one of those things. We went to a bar. We, before the show, we got drinks and food and whatnot, and we made a friend that was wrestling. He was sitting at the bar right next to us. We were talking to him, and pretty cool guy. And when we left the bar, of course, we didn't think we would ever see him again. We're in Washington D.C. We're from Houston, Texas, so what are the odds? So out of a 15,000 seat stadium, right? We go and we sit down in our seats when we get to the stadium for the show and all that. And lo and behold, the guy that we had just befriended at the bar is sitting in the row and in the seat directly in front of us.
Oh shit.
I was like, yeah. I was like, and I looked at my wife. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. I was like, but it's one of those things where, you know what, screw it. This means that we're supposed to be here right now. This is where we're supposed to be. And so, you hear people looking for signs all the time or whatever, usually that has a religious connotation to it. But to me, it doesn't even have to be religious. It's like, hey, what are the odds? 15,000 seat stadium, and the dude we befriended at the bar is sitting literally right in front of us in the next row. So I was like, hey, cool deal. That we're supposed to be here. This is where we're supposed to be in life right now. That's how we looked at it.
So. Yeah.
Yeah.
As just as quite said, Corey Glory Streams is in the chat, and first I think that's why the flying headbutt is an illegal move now. It is not. Daniel Bryan uses it on occasion, for the record. As there's a few others, they change how they do it. And Benoit's son, I do not believe, maybe his son by the first marriage, maybe, but I know the son, he has one son that did not live that weekend. And then howdy, good to see you. And then he talks about how Sting showed up on AEW, and I just went, and somebody asked me about that. I go, well, of course he did, because he's got to make the tour before he can't go out and do anything anymore. So it makes sense he goes to AEW. At some point he'll be on MLW. They'll relaunch like Lucha Underground or something, and he'll be on it. I don't know. It's just a matter of time. But yeah, no, that's really crazy that you had what are the odds sort of thing.
What are the odds? I mean, even if you just want to play the odds, I mean, it's pretty significantly low odds that we meet a stranger like that in a different state, or I guess district, technically.
Mm-hmm.
But here's another just really quick coincidence. You probably won't even believe me. You're probably gonna think I make this up. Today when I was at work, I watched a video of like the 10 or 15 moves that are now banned in WWE, and one of them talked about the flying headbutt. I swear I can pull up the history on my phone and show you.
Well, we don't want to see all that.
But no, I can pull up the YouTube. But what I'm saying, it's like, yeah, it's like I'm supposed to be here right now doing this show, because I swear I watched that video and they talked about the flying headbutt with Daniel Bryan still doing it. I swear that's the truth.
They just change how they do it. It's what happened.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And who is it? Because the video said that Harley Race, even before he died, Harley Race would tell people, don't do the flying headbutt. Like, it's a stupid move and you're going to hurt yourself. So, but yeah, that was on that video. I just watched that today.
But then that's also Harley Race, where if you're not just punching somebody, he thought it was sissy. So,
well, I mean, like, speaking of celebrities, my family once, we went to LA, go visit my aunt, and did all the tourist stuff and went to Disneyland and everything. But we went to Hollywood, and went to the the Chinese theater, where they've got, like, is it Nan's? Yeah, they've got all the handprints and everything. Yeah. There was, there's all kinds of people dressed in costume, and you can take a picture with them and, pay them a couple bucks, and that's their gig. That's what they do, just their characters. So I met the famous, y'all ever heard of Batman? Yeah. I met Batman.
Got a son named after him.
Batman.
Like nobody cared. Like none of the other actors like asked any questions. They were like, all right, yeah, take a picture, here, $5 or whatever. But this guy was like, hey, you guys doing all right? Where y'all from? You know, because he knows obviously we're tourists. And we're like, oh, we're from Houston. He's like, I grew up in Houston. We lived at Spring Branch. And we're like, oh shit, like that's where we're from. And he was like, oh wow, that's crazy. I used to live off Long Point and Gessner. And it was like, oh my God, that's where we live. What the fuck? Like, and this dude, like, he hadn't lived in, you know, Houston in like, I think he said like 10, 15 years or something, but pretty much lived right there, like most of his life.
So how, my question is like, how does that make you feel? Like, does that make you feel anything like, hey, this is where I'm supposed to be, or are you still like, this is just too weird of a coincidence? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, how does that make you
small?
Feel?
Yeah, I mean, like Houston's the biggest little place in America.
But Spring Branch.
But Spring Branch, I mean, like Spring Branch, like, I mean, back in the day, nobody knew who fucking what Spring Branch was, but now it's like part of the energy corridor and everything. So Spring Branch is like really popular now. It's weird.
Oh yeah.
But I don't know, with something like that, like I just think of it as like, wild, crazy, you know? Because I mean, that wasn't life changing or have like I didn't get. You know, Batman was like, here, step out of the way, and a moving truck drove by or something, like nothing like that.
I am the knight, and then goes off and actually gets solved crime or some shit in LA.
Right.
Because that would have been cool. I
don't know. I mean, like, no, just something like that. Yeah, I think that was too, like, just kind of like, hey, weird. And that was about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't prescribe. It's one of those things. I'm sure I have those moments and stuff like that. But there's a lot of times I go, wow, I guess I should be here right now and stuff like that. But nothing. I don't try to look at stuff that way. I just go. I try to be very conscious of where I am in the moment. But there's still just weird. But I recognize weird shit happening all the time. So I was going, that's weird. We were just talking about this, and suddenly blah blah blah. That's some weird shit. That does happen all the time. Like that, it's like, it's like Facebook suddenly knowing that you were just kind of talking about the toaster, and they're showing you ads about toasters. I get that sort of shit all the time. Not just
that would be consumerism, capitalism algorithms.
But it's the weird kind of, I'm talking to somebody not on the internet, but physically going, hey, I'm thinking about getting a toaster, and then literally logging onto Facebook, and suddenly I'm getting ads about toasters.
That's happened to me. Yeah, that has definitely happened to me a few times too.
That is that is a weird coincidence thing that happens to everybody. So many people that happen, like that sort of shit happened to me. But like even beyond that, it's just like that. Weird sort of stuff. But I do like really fascinating stories where it kind of, whether it's true or it's just a fun tale, I still enjoy it regardless. Like one of my favorite stories, actually from Hollywood. Nice keeping that segue going. Anthony Hopkins, who's one of my favorite actors, he was actually going to start doing a role called the girl from Petrovka, I believe. And right before the filming was supposed to start, he wanted to get a copy of the book, which was written by a living author and stuff like that. And he wanted to find the book so he can just read up on it and really get it down. So like beyond just the script, he wanted to read it so he can research it and stuff like that, but couldn't find the book fucking anywhere. And like he's just about to start filming, he's getting kind of stressed out because he's English, method actor, yada yada yada. And then one day he's riding the subway, and just sitting on the chair next to him on the subway is a copy of the book, The Girl from Petrovka. And so he reads it, read, like that, gets it down. So, but what's really weird is fact is that, and that's not even the end of it. So what happens like later, Hopkins had a chance to meet the author, and right soon afterwards, and he goes, hey, like, because I guess he tried to send notes to this guy about getting the book, and like the author goes, hey man, I would have gotten you a book, but I don't have a copy of it. I lent my copy to a friend of mine who fucking left it on the subway.
Oh wow. That's cool. I like that one.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So I just Googled most famous coincidence in history. And I got.
Is it the Lincoln? Is it the Lincoln Kennedy one?
No, that one's like most of it's fake.
Yeah.
Most of that one's fake. That's like, it was just like cool to talk about at school, I guess. I don't know. Because I think I read that like from 4th grade to 8th grade. I read that at least once a year. Or a history teacher read it to us or something. But founding fathers, still close enough, presidents. Thomas Jefferson and John Adams, alternately close friends and bitter rivals across their intertwined political careers, died on the same day, July 4th, 1826, the 50th anniversary of American independence, of which these two men were chief architects.
Wow.
At around 6 p.m. on that fateful day, Adams, unaware that Jefferson had died just after noon, uttered his final words, Thomas Jefferson survives. But yeah, apparently that's the most famous one, but I've actually never heard that before.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'd never heard that one. If it was going to be something to do with presidents, I would have thought the Lincoln-Kennedy one.
Yeah, man, I wonder if that's I wonder if that's still online anywhere. I want to look at that one. Because it was like, Lincoln was in the Ford Theater and Kennedy was in a Ford, and
it's the secretary thing. I think it's the only thing that's like it's the only thing I think is really true. Is the secretary? Lincoln had a secretary named Kennedy, and Kennedy had a secretary named Lincoln.
Yeah. And then was it Johnson was the following president, right? Because you had Andrew Johnson, and then you had Lyndon Johnson. Yeah. So, speaking of presidents, this is totally off topic, but one of my unique talents is, and I'm not going to do it, but is the ability to name the presidents from Washington to Trump in order.
Oh, see, that one doesn't count, so you don't have to do the last one.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, I guess President-elect Biden, right?
So I was just looking up the just like the Lincoln Kennedy thing we were just talking about, just to see what all was on there.
Yeah.
But the first thing that came up on Google was Lincoln Kennedy penny. I was like, the fuck is that? Apparently there's a penny, and you know how Lincoln's looking this way? It's got like a small Kennedy, like it looks like a Kennedy's kid head. Hang on, I can turn this around so y'all can see it.
Yeah, let's do some meta stuff.
I like, there you go. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, and you can get a roll of them for $40.
All right.
Well, there you go.
I've never heard of this thing before.
Me either.
Yeah. What, $40,000 penny?
There was a couple of those coincidences between Lincoln and Kennedy that, at least, I haven't looked at that in 20 years, but there was some of them
since like high school.
That I thought were pretty legit. Yeah, pretty weird coincidences. Yeah. So, what was that one that the one where 2 weeks before they died, was it Lincoln was something Monroe, and I don't know, there was something.
Oh,
so there's a bad.
I remember seeing the thing. There was like a porcelain, one of the old porcelain, I want to say like tintype type things of Lincoln, and it was printed like a week before he was assassinated, and there was a crack that went through it right across his forehead that indicated where he would be shot.
Yeah, that's the very bad, tasteful joke, is that a week before Lincoln was killed, he was in Monroe, Maryland, and that Kennedy was in Maryland.
Monroe.
I don't know if that's true or not. That's just a bad 5th grade joke that I remember.
Yeah. Okay. Both Lincoln and Kennedy were concerned with civil rights. Lincoln was elected president in 1860, and Kennedy was in 1960. Right, both were slain on a Friday and in the presence of their wives. Both were shot from behind and in the head. Their successors, Kennedy was shot from several directions, so we all.
Yeah. That was another one.
Their successors, both named Johnson, were Southern Democrats, and both were in the Senate. Andrew Johnson was born in 1808, and Lyndon Johnson was born in 1908. John Wilkes Booth was born in 1839, and Lee Harvey Oswald was born in 1939. Booth and Oswald were Southerners favoring unpopular ideas. Booth's presidents wives lost children through death while in the White House. Sorry, it's kind of blurry on this thing. It's like a photocopy of one of the old printouts.
Oh, yeah, one of the old printouts. Yeah. It's like both of their killers were famous for three names: John Wilkes Booth and then Lee Harvey Oswald.
That's not.
Yeah.
Both were part of the fashion.
Lincoln's secretary was named Kennedy. Advised him not to go to the theater.
Wasn't one of them a theater actor?
Oh, wait. John Wilkes Booth shot Lincoln in a theater and ran to a warehouse. Lee Harvey Oswald shot Kennedy from a warehouse and ran to a theater.
Yeah.
Well, that's already not true.
Which is only kind of true because Lee Oswald went to a bunch of places before he ended up in the theater. He shot the cop and then ran into the theater. Everybody forgets about the cop.
The cop.
Had he not shot that cop, he probably could have got away.
Probably, it's also very true. Yeah.
So what are we saying on that one? Just really weird coincidence between the two?
Yeah, I mean, like some of these, I mean, like they seem kind of legit.
Yeah.
Are there just
the names Andrew Johnson and Lyndon Johnson each contain 13 letters. The name John Wilkes Booth and Lee Harvey Oswald each contain 15 letters. Both assassins were killed before being brought to trial. Both Johnsons were opposed to re-election by men whose names start with G.
Yeah, like Jeff with a G.
Me. It was on me. Yeah.
You.
See, what you don't know is I'm actually part of the great fashion conspiracy that Mugatu belonged to and hired models to kill those people. That's from Zoolander, the Shrek movie.
I guess that shows I've never seen Zoolander. Are you drinking a Mickey? What are you drinking? Hell yeah. Cheers, buddy. Thanks for having me on.
Cheers, all three of us. Hell yeah.
Yeah, here we go. I'm drinking a little family business right now, which is from Jensen Ackles from Supernatural. It's his brewery.
Oh. Well, this, if we can see it, is a fine malt liquor.
Fine. As opposed to not fine malt liquor like Zima. Actually, Zima's pretty.
I mean, no other malt liquor has fine printed on the label.
Oh, that's
but I was delivering to a grocery store in West Columbia, Texas.
Yeah, that's where
Lake Jackson.
That's where I work at.
And
I work in
their wine. Yeah, their wine selection. You know, they had decent wine selection, but on the bottom shelf they had like MD 2020 and Boone's Farm and all that shit. MD 2020 apparently has a new flavor.
Oh, does it?
Vomit?
Yeah, it's black and gold for 2020 because it's MD 2020. And you know, I noticed it in December. You know, shows how often I drink MD 2020 now.
Yeah. Okay, so Corey Glory Streams
tastes like high school.
Tastes like high school. Thanks for being in the chat. I'll get to all this stuff. He's drinking a hot Padilla from Carback, which is cool. Jensen Brew, out here. Family businesses here in Austin, Texas. And I only drink beer with Scabs. Usually I'm a whiskey guy. That's good. And then he goes off topic, talking about how the former head of the Israeli space program came out and said that aliens exist. But we are being denied access to the Galactic Federation because they are waiting for us to calm down and stop killing each other.
We do need to do that.
Never gonna happen.
In general, it has nothing to do with like space aliens. That's just a thing we need to do.
That's been like the premise of like so many movies where aliens are like, "Hey, we don't fuck with y'all because you won't stop killing each other." And we're like, we'll stop killing each other. And then everyone watches that movie. They're like, huh, what a nice title. And they're dicks to each other.
Have y'all played the video game series Mass Effect or heard of Mass Effect?
Oh yeah, I love Mass Effect.
I've heard of Mass Effect.
I played all 4 games.
Yeah, same here. So it's like, you know, I'm such a outside the box thinker. I'm like, you know, we have all these border wars and we have, you know, all these build the wall and stuff. And I'm like, what's going to happen when the aliens come and you have all these different races of Batarians and Quarians and Asari, and then we have to actually form the human alliance, right? Just like in Mass Effect, it's like all these borders and stuff is freaking pointless. Like when you think about it.
Yeah. I mean, it'll be infighting until we prove there's life on other planets, and then we'll all go be like, let's go get them together, you know?
Come on, humans, let's go. Let's get together.
Yeah.
You need that thing to bond everybody together. I mean, I tell people that eventually we will, if the internet alone will guarantee that one day we will be one nation, just because it's just the way the internet works. It's not like anybody driving us to do stuff. It's like there's not gonna be a flag or anything like that, or somebody going, we must be together. No, just eventually we're just gonna go, that border's stupid. How can we get around that border and just
it's like what the hell? It's totally stupid. When you think about it on an intergalactic level.
Yeah, and Watchmen did the same thing.
Oh, it's been a long time since I've seen Watchmen. So, unless you're talking about the comics, I've never read the comics.
I'll read the comic.
Yeah.
Comics.
I mean, both are great. I love the movie and the comic. The movie was like actually really spot on to the comic, but controversial opinion. The movie ending was different than the comic book ending. Basically the same, but totally different. But I liked the ending to the movie better than the comic book.
Yes, I agree. It made more sense, and it'd be less hokey. for lack of a
It
better
made
term.
way more sense. I mean, it was. I
Yeah.
love how convoluted the comic book ending is, but like the ending of the movie is great.
And then you had the limited series on HBO, which follows off of the comic, not the movie, but still amazing because it's all afterwards.
Mhm.
But yeah,
Yeah.
great. Off topic.
I'm waiting for the next season if they're going to do another season.
They are not planning to do another one.
I mean, I guess that's a way to end it.
So for filler purposes behind the scenes, I do have 2 more. So just whenever we're ready to go there.
Okay, yeah. You want to go into one right now since we're going on a tangent?
Yeah. No, so this one it's a little sappy, right? But it's how I met my current wife. But there's a coincidence to it, right? So here's the current. Yeah, my current wife, because I'm divorced, right? And 8 Ball knows that whole story.
I wasn't laughing at you. I just read something and I was like,
yeah,
oh my
you
God.
were.
Anyway, continue.
Yeah,
no, I've known Mexigun and I have known each other for a very long time. We were in a band
very
together.
Long time.
We were on like a message board together. Yeah. Who does message boards anymore?
So here's the it's almost comical, right? So I was on my way to go to the courthouse to sign my divorce papers. Don't spit that out, 8 Ball. so I was on my way to court and I had to be there very early in the morning. I was one of those idiots that decided to do my own divorce through legalzoom.com. I guess I shouldn't say that. That's not an endorsement of the show, but it's
factual. It's more of a factual story.
It's more of a factual story. But anyway, so I was on my way. It was like 8:00 in the morning, 7:30 in the morning, and 8 Ball knows this. I'm sorry, I guess I should say Scabs, but 8 Ball, whatever.
Both are fine.
Both. And so anyway, you remember I had that purple Challenger Hellcat, right? Yeah. I remember that one time me and you got wasted at but anyway, that's another story. But anyway, I had the purple Challenger Hellcat, and I went to the HEB gas station here where I'm from, and I needed to put gas to go to, because I had to drive like an hour and a half to the courthouse to go finalize my divorce. And lo and behold, my wife, my current wife, happened to be at HEB that early in the morning. And Wharton, where I'm from, it's a small town, and Facebook, social media, she knew what kind of car I drove. When you're driving a purple car, it's pretty obvious whose it is.
Yeah.
And so she happened to see me putting gas at the gas pump. We've known each other since high school, and she went to Facebook to say, hey, I think that's Justin's car, so let me look to see what he's up to. And so she saw that I was going through a divorce, and she had also gone through a divorce. And so we kind of started talking back and forth about what it's like to go through a divorce. I don't want to get too deep into that, but it sucks. And and she had been through some stuff. I've been through some stuff. And so we just started talking, and then next thing you know, one thing led to another. We started talking, started dating, get to know each other, and then we've been married now. So and I'm very blessed with everything I have. As you guys know, we just finished building this beautiful house, and all the kids are great. So everything is good. But I think about that coincidence. What is the coincidence that the day that I'm going to sign my divorce papers, and I happened to be at the gas station the same time my current wife was at HEB that early in the morning to shop for groceries? That's pretty cool coincidence. So I'm like, yeah. So that's kind of a sappy story, but that's one of my favorite coincidental stories of how my wife and I met.
Oh,
right on.
Cool. It didn't go on for like 9 seasons about How I Met Your Mother, so that's okay. Yeah.
Yeah, no.
I still haven't seen the end of that show.
It's fine.
So like when you first started telling the story and you talked about your divorce, and I just kind of laughed because I was reading this.
It's okay. It's kind of comical.
No, I wasn't laughing at you, but like it just kind of worked out perfectly. Yeah, and I have to read this one to y'all so you understand now. I'm gonna fuck this guy's name up, but a South African astronomer, Danny de Toit, gave a lecture on how death can strike anyone at any time. Upon the completion of his lecture, du Toit popped a mint into his mouth, and it slid into the back of his throat, causing him to choke to death on the spot.
Wow.
I laughed at that. It's kind of like, the guy who like invented the Segway died on a Segway.
Is that for real?
It's something. It's hang on, let me look that one up too.
Yeah, look that one
but
up.
Like,
while you're looking that one
because
up,
like there's something. It's something like that.
Yeah, while you're looking that one up, that reminds me of somebody that was giving a speech. It was somewhere in not in the United States, Middle East somewhere, but he was giving a speech on live television about, don't take life for granted or something along those lines. It was in a foreign language, and then right then and there, he dropped right on live TV, and it's like, wow, that was kind of weird. So definitely, I have seen that before.
Okay, so it wasn't the inventor, but hang on. Jimmy Heselden, the British multimillionaire who scooped up Segway in January, died after he apparently drove one of the company's two-wheeled scooters off a cliff and into a river. He was 62.
Man.
So it wasn't the inventor. It was the guy who pretty much funded it.
The money maker.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or the money supplier, rather.
We could always end on talking about like the fact is that the Simpsons are the greatest prognosticators
Isn't
when
it?
it comes to coincidence.
Oh yeah,
stuff like that.
Yeah,
I'm looking over a list of 30 of at least it's like 30 of the bigger ones, and so it's like really crazy. Ranging anywhere. Some
from
of
the
the stuff
Simpsons.
is kind of from the Simpsons predicting stuff that happened, that did, and it doesn't happen until like 10, 20 years later. Or things like they predicted the Super Bowl winners like 4 or 5 times. Things like they talked about the Higgs boson particle before, and they knew what the Higgs boson particle was.
Otherwise known as the God
perpetual
particle.
motion.
Are things like the Siegfried and Roy tiger attack that was done that happened for the episode when Burns had his casino. Trump. Because it started as an offhand joke from Lisa becoming president after Trump, essentially, and having basically now we have to fix all the financial shit that the former President Trump had to go through. Offhand line, and they since did more stuff. And there's a couple other things that happened in The Simpsons that people were wondering happened, especially when it concerns Trump, but it has not happened yet. Covering up Michelangelo's David.
There's I just looked it up. There's a 30 of them from this was posted in 2018. Jesus.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, I've been watching The Simpsons since I was a kid. My best friend growing up, he lived like right next door to us, and he wasn't allowed to watch The Simpsons. And this is when The Simpsons came on at like 8:00 on Thursday nights. And he'd be over there hanging out with me, and I'd be like, "It's Thursday, it's 8:00. I've got to go to my parents' room and watch this show. You can hang out here though." Because I'd go watch it without him because I'm not gonna not watch The Simpsons. But I haven't watched The Simpsons in years.
Yeah, same here.
I've been going through because I have Disney Plus. I've been watching it slowly but surely. But there's some stuff like they talk about things like they came up with like video chatting. Well, video chatting technically existed before The Simpsons, as did smartwatches.
And the thing about Trump being president, he actually ran a while ago. He just didn't get off the ground at all.
Oh no! The thing is when they made the reference to Trump being president, it was 20 years before Trump became president. So Trump hadn't even thought about being a president until like another 10 years later from whenever they said it. So,
yep. And Back to the Future with Biff Tannen was based on Trump. Yep.
Yeah, that's it. And then it's like I watch shows where they talk about like President Travolta and things like that, or like the joke was like President Schwarzenegger, which can never happen because he's not a natural born citizen.
No, it wasn't Schwarzenegger. It was Rainier Wolfcastle. That's not Schwarzenegger at all.
No, not at all.
Oh yeah, not at all. It's been a while since I watched The Simpsons, but I caught that reference.
I'm just kind of going down this list, but one of like the simple ones, smartwatches, and they also Blueberry or like phones, because there was an episode where it was like he had a reminder thing and he pulled out what looked like a cell phone and he had a stylus and it said "Beat Up Martin," and it changed it to say "Eat Up Martha."
Yeah, autocorrect.
Like, so autocorrect and smart devices. Stealing cooking grease for cash.
That happened in New York. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, God, I could go through the Simpsons ones all day. I'm a Simpsons nerd. But we're getting close to the end. Mexi, you said you had one more.
Yeah, one more. This one might be a tad bit longer, but I'll try to make it short. And this one is
no, that's
probably
fine.
this
We
one's
got plenty of
probably
time.
the most recent one. This is another one of those. Wow, this is like where I'm at. This is where I'm supposed to be, and I'm on the right path, or at least that's kind of where I took it. So it all started. I took my family boating. You know, I recently got a nice big pontoon boat. We love to saltwater fish down in Matagorda Bay, and so it's kind of like also a butterfly effect. So that could be one of those shows in the future. Y'all ever want to talk butterfly effect type stuff? But it all started when we were kind of at the end of our trip. We were out on the water, and we lost the anchor. The anchor to the boat. There's a little screw that goes in the anchor. You know, we put the anchor down and we're fishing, and I noticed we started floating. So I pull the anchor up. There's no anchor on it. It's gone. It's a chain, and the anchor somewhere at the bottom of West Bay in Matagorda somewhere. So I'm like, crap.
So you didn't jump in for it?
No, we didn't. I didn't. I was like, because we had already floated. We had already floated away from where we were. You know, without the anchor, the current took us. That's how I noticed that we didn't anchor. So I told.
Kind of off topic, but since we're talking about
Sure.
anchors, do you know how deep it is right there?
Well, it varies, but right where we were at, we were kind of close to a shore. So I'd probably say about 3 feet of water.
Okay.
Yeah. It's not like we're in the ocean or anything. West Bay is actually not that deep, which actually leads to the next part of my story. Like this is a multi-part butterfly effect coincidental story, right? So we didn't have the anchor. So I said, okay, so we're in the beginning part of West Bay. And I said, let's go to the south shoreline of West Bay, because then we can do something that's called drift fishing, where you just go to the other side of the bay and you let the current bring you across the bay, and then you just fish as you're floating along. You don't have to anchor. So we started heading, and I had never been down there before, and this was my first mistake. I was like, well, I can get us down there. It's no problem. So I get us stuck, right? So I bottom out this big 25-foot pontoon boat. We bottom out, and I'm like, oh crap, we're on like there's water, but I'm like in 2 inches of water, like I'm on the bottom of like some shell or something. So we all jump out of the boat, right? We start pushing the boat, trying to get it off the shell that we're on and back into the deep part so we can turn around and get back out of there. These really old couple out of nowhere, just out of the kindness, pull up to the boat. They see us, and there's like nobody out there, so the odds of them being where we were was pretty low anyway. But that's not the end of the story. So anyway, they get a chain and they hook it up to a hook that's on the side of my boat, and they put their boat in reverse, and it pulls our boat kind of sideways like this and out, and so they get us unstuck, right? And so I'm like, okay, our day's done. We caught some fish, but it's time to go home, right? So we get out of the water, we load the truck, we load the boat up on the trailer, and we start headed home. And I noticed, I'm on Highway 60 coming from Matagorda. It's probably an hour ish, hour and a half to my hometown. And I noticed where they had hooked the chain up to the boat to pull me. It was flapping. It was like a metal bar. It was flapping, and it looked like it was going to come off, right? So I pull over to the side of the road on the highway, Highway 60, and I go and I check it, and I screw it in, and I get the bolt back so the piece is not flapping, because I thought it was going to come off and maybe hit somebody behind me. I didn't want that to happen. So we hit the next town is a big town, one of the biggest towns there. They're called Bay City. So we pull in, and as I pull in, I hear this hissing that's coming from my boat. What happened was, when I had pulled over to check the boat from where it was loose, I must have hit a nail or something. So the tire on my boat trailer was leaking, right? So I'm like, oh, that sucks. I was like, well, let me try to make it back home. It's only about 30 minutes away. Maybe it'll keep enough air to where I can at least make it home. So I'm driving outside of Bay City, and I don't make it but 2 miles, and the tire blows, right? It blows out. So I'm like, and I can see it, it's burning. So I've got me, my family, which was, there's 6 of us. I have a big family, all in the vehicle. I've got a boat on the side of the road in a highway that's in the middle of nowhere, right? You have to remember I'm down here in not in Houston, but out one of these small counties. So I pull over to the side of the road. I have no idea what I'm going to do. You know, I've got my kids with me, my wife, and I've got a blowout. I don't have a spare. And I'm like, what do I do? Right. So I pull into, this is where the coincidences started. I happened to pull right next to a grass farm, which I just built this new house and I was looking for grass to put in in around my house. And grass is like, some people charge like $150 a pallet, which is pretty ridiculously high. So I happened to pull up into a grass farm and I go and the guys are there and I asked them, I said, hey, I've got a blowout. Can I pull my trailer in here and store it and then go change the tire and go to a tire shop, get a tire? And they're like, yeah. And this really nice guy, a total stranger, right? So this gives me faith in humanity. Total stranger gets his forklift because I don't have a jack, right? To jack, this is a big 25-foot pontoon boat. It's heavy. He gets his forklift. He happened to have a forklift, lifts the trailer up. I take the tire off, right? And so here's where the weird stuff starts happening. So I unhook the trailer. I go back into town to look for the first tire shop I find. The first tire shop I find used to be a college. It's a building, and it's the college, and it's the building where I first went to college to get my associate's degree at for my process technology program, which got me hired on with the company I worked for. So that was a very strange coincidence there. I get the tire. I'm like, because it was weird because I'm like in my old classroom, but it's now a tire shop. So that was weird. So I go back, I put the tire on, and I told that guy, I said, you know what, man? It's like, you're awesome. You didn't have to help me. I mean, he's a migrant worker, right? Working on one of these grass farms. He didn't have to help me, language barrier and all that. And he helped me out of the goodness of his heart. I happened to get the tire I needed at the college that I used to go to 20 years ago. And what I did, I made him a promise. I said, when I'm ready to put grass at my new house, I now know where I'm going to get my grass from. Sure enough, I called the owner. I told him, I said, your workers help me. He's like, yeah, we'll give you 2 pallets of grass for $120, where one pallet from everybody else was 150. So that's a long story, but it's just one of those butterfly effects. It all started with my anchor. Remember, it started with my anchor losing in the bay. And I was like, you know what? Again, God, fate, time, whatever. Somebody was steering that current there, pun intended. Somebody was steering that current to where all those things, and that happened like 2 months ago. That was very recently. And anyway, yeah, I ended up buying grass from the guy, and I called the owner, and he got me a deal. And that's just a coincidence after coincidence after coincidence. And that's just one of those things where I'm sorry, like there's something there. I don't know what it is, but there was something there. Definitely. So that's my last story. So thank you for letting me share that story.
That's definitely interesting. So I've never like really noticed. I guess like they don't really mean a lot to me because I never really notice them. It's like it's usually like that's weird, or it's a coincidence, like it's a pun, and I'm like that's about it. But I do want to read one more because we're about to end this. But this one just Henry Tragnay of Marseille, France, participated in 5 duels from 1861 to 1878. He won the first 4 without firing a shot, as all 4 men suddenly died of natural causes. Wait, in his 5th duel, it was Tragnay himself who dropped dead before anyone had the chance to fire their gun.
It's like Final Destination stuff there.
Yeah, yeah, right. Yeah, I just wanted to get that one out of there. But man, we're getting close. Well, shit, we're about at that time.
We're about there.
Yep. No worries, man. Thank you so much for coming to be part
of that's when my internet connection decides to crap out.
Great having you on.
Of course. Yeah, it's any place that people, if you want people to kind of track down your stuff, any place you want us to send people, or is it? I think he actually finally did officially crap out. So yeah, he actually
might have.
Yeah. So actually, Mexi does have a Reverb Nation webpage. I think it's reverbnation.com/Mexigun. That's where we got the music for the theme song for the show. It's also where I got the music for the for Gaffing the Truth commercial. So definitely go check out stuff out. Pick up some stuff. It's a lot of fun. Oh, there he's
Sorry,
coming back.
guys, I crapped out. Sorry about that. I'm back.
Man, right at the
No
very end
I
problem.
know,
too.
right
Like,
at the end.
I
Yeah,
timed out. No,
it's like mic drop. I'm out. Peace.
yeah, no, I make sure people go to your reverbnation.com site to check out your music because it's really, really good. I really enjoy all of it. I sat there and listened to all of it because when I was trying to figure out what to do for our theme song here, I listened
Thank
to
you.
all of it. And the one we have here for the show just fit us best. And then, so I really like it a lot.
Thank you. Yeah, I just released a new song. My first song in like 5 years. It's called "You Say," and
Oh yeah,
it's
that was really good. I listened to that too because when you drop that, I make a point to listen to it because
yep.
I love music in general. And
my favorite's
I
called
may
8 Ball.
Eight Ball's all right.
It's all right. But yeah,
No,
no, thank you.
it's all
Thank you.
good. Yeah, no, I enjoy it, and I'm trying to get people more in tune for you guys. So I might have you some more work for some people to have music and stuff on their stuff. So
Yep. As a matter of fact, in the new house we just built, my studio is going upstairs. I'm going to have all my mics and drums and everything. I'm ready to record some music. So thank you.
cool.
Actually, speaking of Mike and drums, Mike told me he talked to you a little bit. So hell
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep. I told him I'd get on that.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
that'd be really cool.
That's awesome. You guys will find out soon enough. Anyway, thank you guys for being watching the show. Some of the last other thing we'll get the plugs out of the way for myself. Wednesdays, Devil's Hour. It's my weekly debacle into the weird. That's at 10 o'clock Central Standard Time, right here in Kevin for live stream. This week I've got I'm showcasing a band called Harvest Thieves, which are really cool. They're out of the Austin area. Bazoo the Clown, friend of
Finally got Bazoo to do something. Hell yeah.
It's you'll when you watch the show, you'll explain how I got it to work. And then there's another guy called Mr. Kitty who does like synth pop out of here, is a producer out of here, Austin as well. And then on Saturday,
maybe I don't know how it's gonna go, but it's gonna go.
Saturday's gonna happen, and so me and Scabs, as we're gonna talk, I think we're gonna be calling it I think it was the stupid spot for G people or something or other.
The stupid G spot for stupid people. I don't know, like
the G spot for stupid people. But yeah, me and Scabs are teaming up because the reason why we're teaming up because the act we're talking with is the Guinness Book World Record holders,
multiple Guinness record holders.
Season 6 America's Got Talent contestants. They were on for a while for that too. Captain and Maybell, an amazing sideshow couple out of the Atlanta area in Georgia. They're also the hosts for the Give a Hoot specials that we run here every month on Cabin Fever live stream. And overall, just really great people. So we're gonna have a great time doing something with them for like 2 hours. So it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Hell yeah!
But anyways. That's what it makes. Do you have anything else you're plugging in for you, Scabs? Anything else going on?
No, that's that's all I really got coming up. I mean, I got the haunted house 18th and 19th, I believe, are the dates. In the meantime, if anybody's trying to buy a little Coke, I am selling a little Coke here and there.
Little Coke.
Good stuff. But yeah, that's about it. That's all I got.
No worries. All right, so everybody be cool, be safe, be groovy, and as always, keep drinking.
Thank you.